in the same spot day. We've been forcing ourselves to walk 5 to 10 blocks at least every single day. You guys who have been here all along from the beginning know that I am a very active person. I'm always at the gym. I'm always working out, and I'm always doing exercise outside if I can't get to a gym. So that's been different sitting in this tent. We just got the travel system, which has been leaving me with a tremendous amount of anxiety. Probably my number one source of anxiety, because people can get us hotel rooms. We can go to a shelter with baby. Xavier's dad can come through and give us the apartment, or he can even say, son, I want you to come home and have your old room back. I live here alone. I'm typically not even home. There are a million solutions for housing, but if you don't have anything for your baby, it's a different story. If you don't have diapers, if you don't have clothes, if you don't have blankets, now you're not only in a position where you need a roof over your head, but you also need everything. So I've been slowly, little by little, balancing the difficulty of purchasing stuff, having nowhere to keep it, and also knowing that the more value I fill in my space, the more risk I'm taking over, because anytime now that I have to go potty and we have to leave, we definitely put a lock here and police know that we're here. But it's just equally, it's very frustrating and anxiety producing to spend money that you've worked really hard on, raising or being donated. None of my donations come when I'm just asleep. It's all a result of all of this documenting, reaching out to the community, explaining the situation as it stands, being very thorough in documenting, being very, very thorough. And what I mean by that is almost 500 pages of dates and times of all of these victimizations and all of the circumstances that have led up to us being in a tent. I've never been in a tent before. I don't have a drug addiction. I don't have a mental health problem. So the things that society will typically assign homeless people to make themselves feel good enough to look away, to make themselves feel justified in not having a problem with it, those things don't apply to me. And I'm kind of glad that I don't think anyone should be left in these positions outside with no resources, but I'm very glad that they don't, because it goes to prove, okay, your problem with so-and-so or offering funding for homelessness is that they're on drugs. Well, I'm not, right? I don't do drugs. As a matter of fact, I'm very intelligent. I don't even take ibuprofen or Tylenol right now. Am I going to get the epidural? You betcha. 100% yes. But I don't do drugs or party or any of these things that people say, well, that's how she ended up homeless. So that doesn't affect me or apply to my situation. What does affect me and apply to my situation is a large amount of corruption. Just to give you guys a brief overview before I get into what we did today, I don't think anyone should be left outside. I think that if when they're in prison, we can provide for them, then we should definitely be able to do that when they're out of prison, and that leaving people just out in the street to undergo psychosis or drug-induced, hallucinations or other, not passion crimes, but crimes of necessity, like I'm hungry, I need to eat, so I don't have money, so I go steal food. I'm tired, I need to sleep, but there's nowhere for me to sleep, so let's do drugs. All of those things are causal to homelessness. So if we're not even putting our people who have criminal records, drug problems, or mental health issues in those positions, how do you justify putting a person who is 39 weeks pregnant in that position? How do you justify putting anyone in that position? How do you justify putting a person who doesn't use drugs, who doesn't party, who doesn't have mental health issues, and who is 39 weeks pregnant in a tent for one whole year, 12 months? It doesn't make sense to me. In addition to that, Xavier and I just walked by. Xavier, do you want to tell the people what you bought? It's from the man?
From the man?
The man on the side of the street who is selling Coca-Colas. So, and where was that? Who was that man?
A Venezuelan refugee.
A Venezuelan refugee. So we have, I'm a mermaid, not a dolphin, but thank you though. So we have about 300 people roughly placed at Irving Park and Lakeshore Drive in a church that they have purposed for these refugees. I am a natural born citizen of the United States, and I've been held in a tent for the past 12 months. I'm not under arrest, I don't have a criminal record, and I don't party or use drugs. So what is your justification? In addition to that, I have 3 children, 17, 15, and 10 years old, who are desperately waiting for their mother to come home, and right? Like common sense says, like I have since the day they were born, respectively. With that being said, let's get into the happy part of this. I need answers, and I feel as though the rest of the world should be asking for them as well. I'm not saying I don't want the sanctuary people to be assisted, nor am I saying that I deserve something that someone who's made a mistake in the past and served prison time doesn't deserve. I am saying that I've been a tax-paying citizen since I was 14 years old, and I'm 38 years old now. I am saying that I am a good person. I am saying that I don't go around abusing and using others. I am saying that I have very, very strong and excellent mental health, very, very strong and excellent physical health, and that I am 39 weeks pregnant, and I deserve to be inside my own space, as I was when these people found me in 2020 and threw me out of my home. Now, if the law enforcement surrounding us cannot make that happen, that's what we go to the court system for. And if the court system refuses to see me, which has been the case, that's when the communities and society come together as a whole and say, we see what's going on and we're not okay with it. If it were happening to me, we would say absolutely not. You know, we would not be okay with it. And typically, if people are not okay with something for themselves, it's a lot easier for them to see why someone would be upset about it happening to them, right? So we just got done walking all the way to Target Wilson. Xavier pushed me in a wheelchair. If you guys were here last week, we went to Yoke. Yoke has $2 pancakes on Wednesdays. And we were very, very low on funds. I just got funding this morning, and Xavier just got funding from his father yesterday. So my funds do not come from, being lazy and unemployed. I've had 21 jobs. If you guys look on this story from today, you could see that I have made it my job to take the investigative lead on my own case and to contact every single person who has hired me and nefariously either fired me or is disconnecting the live. 3rd time in a row in under 10 minutes. All of that is illegal in itself. And if law enforcement cannot come together to even investigate and put together a timeline on who has sexually assaulted me and where, who has robbed me out of employment and when and why, who has bludgeoned me in the back of the head, causing my skull to fracture or my head to fracture, needing staples to close the wound, the women who jumped and stabbed me 11 times, none of my life sounded anything like this prior to 2019. So when you start looking at the timeline and see that I made it 30 some years of existence, raising my children in a relatively quiet, normal, civilized fashion, working full time for Northwestern Hospital, Alexian Brothers Hospital, Affinity Optical, and many, 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 many other jobs, factories, retail stores, etc. and so forth, none of what's going on makes any sense. And it all surrounds the release of the person I was in a relationship with, and that's when everything began to take place. So it's all there, and that's my main issue. There are several hundred refugees who have been given a safe, warm place with meals provided to them, and you can drive by Irving and Lakeshore Drive and see these people. Xavier just bought a Coke from one of them. They were selling, slinging Cokes for the low outside for $1 or something like that. So, and he said, God bless you. I don't want anything bad for these people. I believe that society should be assisting anyone who needs it. But what the fuck, you guys? I'm a natural born United States citizen working since I was 14 years old, 39 weeks pregnant, literally about to have a baby at any time, separated from my 3 big kids. Why? Why are you doing that? I want my life back. I want my car that you've destroyed back. I want my home back. So my children want their home back. My children want their mother back. And on top of that, how many times we've walked to the courthouse and filed for petitions, myself personally, you can go into any of the FTR sections of this profile, the HLG Forever profile, and the One Heather GEE profile, and see the proof of me on video in the courthouse standing next to the circuit clerk saying, here is my petition. This is the 8th one I have filed. I need to see a judge. 4 years I have been on this merry-go-round. 4 years I have been being denied a court date. But let me ask you this. If I went out and beat the fuck out of someone, or if I went out and hosted or planned some sort of smash and grab, or I went out and, did anything illegal, even if I went out and just caused a scene, in your mind that law enforcement would be there to arrest me? None whatsoever, right? But when I'm getting sexually assaulted, held down, and someone puts their literal penis inside of my vagina while I'm saying, no, don't touch me. No, I don't want to have sex with you. The police can't show up for that, but they could show up to throw me in prison, right? Or in jail, right? They could show up when we're standing underneath an awning because it's raining and it's cold outside, and they could charge us with trespassing, right? They can show up when, I call them about 4 locks on my apartment being overturned and someone having put semen on my bed sheets, and they laughed in my face. And those people need to be charged. Just like the people who choose to come in the comments and say, die, kill yourself. In the United States, where I want to raise my family, that shit doesn't exist. In the United States, where I want to raise my family, my kids will be safe to go online, and no one will be preying on them, calling them names, telling them kill themselves. I've called extra tech help that you have to pay extra, money for. There's no explanation. This is illegal and unlawful, and it needs to stop. What I was just explaining before my live was cut off for the 4th time, and the reason these lives are so important is because I'm giving an update day by day, week by week, month by month. You can watch consistently and hear. If you have ears and you're not a complete fucking moron, you can hear that what I'm saying is true. You can hear that I have thought about it and acted in ways that they don't let me have, just a normal conversation. They want things to be so convoluted. They want me to forget to say things so that when you go back to reference the FTR and pile up all of these lawsuits, pertinent information is missing. And I promise they're harming themselves. More than anyone, they're harming themselves. So anyways, this is sick. It's sick. It's fucking demented. I want to press charges against everyone involved. Seriously, press charges.